All right, we are joined today by Devin Kirschman, one of the sponsors that we have for this event at CarrierNet. Talk to me a little bit about what CarrierNet is and where people might know it from, I guess.
Well, CarrierNet Group Financial is an accounts receivable financing company. We work with owner-operators in the trucking industry. Move this bad boy closer.
Yeah.
Is that a lot better for you?
You got to eat that mic, otherwise it's not. Yeah.
I can eat mics. So again, CarrierNet Group Financial is a accounts receivable financing company. So what we do is we work with owner-operators in the transportation industry, funding their cash flow. So they, in basic sense, a trucking company delivers a load. Typical terms are 30 days. We finance that in between 30 days. So they can fund fuel, payments on the truck, trailer, lifestyle, payroll. That's where we kind of fit in. And to kind of complement that, we have credit checks on debtors that they work with and fuel card programs, stuff like that. They just make their business overall run smoother.
Sure.
In the back end.
Yeah, because that was one of the biggest problems and I think for most businesses when they start off, and I'm sure it's the same way for trucking companies and for truckers, is that like undercapitalization in the very beginning, and that's probably the like you said, the same way for that. When I used to work for like a gas station a long time ago, they had like 3 businesses inside of there. It was a trucking company, it was a restaurant, and a gas station. And I actually was accused of stealing like a ton of money. Because the truckers would go and take the money out of my till and then use that for for obviously for the gas and things like that. So it was a horrible job of accounting. So didn't get, but I can see where those funds obviously are going to be probably way more, but where that's going to be necessary for a lot of people. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. In transportation, right off the bat, you got the cost of a truck. The trailer, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars right out of the pocket. And so they're already collateralized heavily. So in the factoring industry or accounts receivable financing, we rely mostly, at least at CarrierNet Group Financial, the credibility of their customers. So their customers are credible, then we can go ahead and lend on that credibility of their customers versus their collateralized.
Right. That makes more sense, obviously, because I mean, if they're one, a newer company, and then 2, if they have good customers, then that you're probably going to end up getting paid out of that deal. So
we hope so, absolutely. That's the risk we take.
Is this then getting into a little bit of the sponsorship of fighters? Is this maybe for some of those bad debt kind of people that you're going to run into that you're going to have to go after, or what are we looking at here?
Well, hopefully this sponsorship does deter people from wanting to take funds from our company. So please, by all means, share this. We'll send you the locations.
Sure. No. So what made you guys get into this? I know that you have a relationship with Ryan Debelak. Is that primarily the goal, you think, or always been a fan of MMA? What's your 2 cents on that?
Well, there's both of them. That goes both ways. I've been a fan of MMA, and I say a fan. I watch it. I don't remember a lot of famous names, stuff like that. But I can tell you the very first MMA fight I watched was Tito and one of the Shamrock brothers. And that just, back in the day, that turned me on. Just this absolute arrogance of both sides. But Tito just being just a cocky dude. And then the Shamrock, with the Dragon Lion's Den.
Yep.
The hate they had for this poor kid. That got me turned on to it. So I kind of, I watch it from time to time. And then knowing Ryan Debelak for going on 4 years, 5 years now, just supporting a buddy, getting involved that way. I've been kind of that type of person, always been pro friends and help them out when they need it. And he's said he needs sponsorships, and I'm in the position to offer a sponsorship for him. So, I will. And, I don't expect to be recognized too much. This is a lot. For me, but I appreciate doing it. I appreciate you guys taking the sponsorship and supporting what you guys do in the local community. That's where CarrierNet Group, being a nationwide business, we don't get a lot of local community. Yeah. So my business partner and I, Ryan Noonan, we try to support the local community when we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you said, especially for a company that maybe doesn't benefit as much from the local exposure as they would national exposure. So, and like I said, I know we'll have at least one guy that's going to be fighting on televised cards, so hopefully that'll help out a little bit. But even small things like this, our goal when we did the sponsorship deal with the whole team was to make for sure that every single sponsor got, as much as we could give them as far, back. Because I do want them to get a big return on their investment, obviously, because that's going to help our group in the end as well. So you'd mentioned too that you had a little bit of affiliation with Shayna Baszler. So
yeah,
former
Shayna,
UFC fighter and NXT wrestler. I know, Jeff, you're a big fan of the wrestling.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Shayna, it's funny. It's short story, short and sweet. She worked at a UPS, if I can probably not say that, but I did, as an auditor. And I became a supervisor on the night shift, so she worked the day shift. And just talking to her through work, and I found out that she was a famous character in the Sioux Falls culture. She worked at Gigglebees as Wilbur. If anybody knows who Wilbur is, Gigglebees, he's a coyote that rolls around on a scooter or like a tricycle.
And that at the time we had 2 Wilburs in the gym. And let me tell you, 2 of those Wilburs were 2 of the scariest people that I know. One is now a fireman here at the Sioux Falls Fire Department, and he's also, Jeremy is the only guy that I've ever known that got DQ'd in his first MMA fight, his first jiu-jitsu, and his first Thai fight. And one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He soccer kicked a guy in MMA, which is basically he's down and he's looking helpless, and he kicked him right in the head. And that's completely illegal. You can't do that. And he did. And then in a grappling tournament, he turned him upside down and dumped a guy on his head, which is also illegal. And that was your Gigglebees mascot, Wilbur. So, that guy's, when he's not doing that, he was, feeding your kids pizza.
Yeah, just if
that's no big whoop. But no, nicest guy in the world.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Shayna's great. And I just remember when I walked into Gigglebees, I was like, this person here is, if you punch Wilbur will punch you back.
Yeah. No,
it will hurt.
It'll hurt a lot. I've been punched many times by both of those Wilburs.
Yeah, I can believe it. I've never had the luxury of being punched by either Wilbur. Thank you. But no, yeah, it's good to see her successful. Anybody that I get to meet and see them be successful is always a special treat.
Sure.
And I think going off of what you were saying, just how Shayna kind of carries herself, she's very intimidating. I think that kind of led to her success in the NXT and the WWE stuff, just because you look at her and she's got that look. She's got that fierce look. They put the eyeshadow on her, and then she just goes all out. I'm sure she's a very stiff worker, as they say in the pro wrestling circuits.
I have no idea what that means.
I'm nervous about what that means.
Basically, what it means is, like, generally there's techniques to the punches and stuff, so people aren't getting hurt. But like what a stiff worker would be like, some of those punches might actually be connecting, but they're not hitting in the jaw. They're hitting more in the forehead, so they look like. Or you see the clotheslines and you hear the big slap. Like that's basically like what a stiff worker is. Yeah. The Japanese are famous for that kind of stuff, being very aggressive and stiff in the way they do those acrobatic movements and stuff. So I could see her kind of going off in that kind of style.
Yeah, I bet it'd be probably hard to go lax when you whooping ass for all those years. Yeah. To be like, oh, don't hit me so hard. Really? I mean, I'm going to hit. That's what I do. That's what I do. So
you, and we'll show this later, you had a chance to hit pads a little bit with Lucas, one of our boxing coaches. Overall thoughts with that? I know you coming in. You're got the polo and the khakis on, so that wasn't probably the plan in there. And I just forced you to do some rounds in there.
Yeah, it was fun. Actually, I've never put on gloves like that and had a person give me instruction on how to hit. I had a good time doing it. It was 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes of punching a bag. It was a good warm up. Yeah. You didn't make me sign a waiver. My hammies were really tight, but Bruce, don't worry about it. No, it was a good time. It was fun. I was actually, when you said we're doing some work, I got a little nervous. I thought maybe I was going to do some grappling. I've never grappled.
That's probably, we talk about this all the time. That's probably the biggest thing that we run into here at the gym is, there's in the industry, we call it like the rules of 7. We'll have 7 people call, or 7 people think about calling. One person will call. Out of those 7 people that'll call, one person will actually come in just because of the fear of the gym and what's going on here. But for the most part, it's a really family atmosphere, and it's everybody here is really nice. And once you get through that initial kind of shock of it, then things change.
Yeah, Luke was great. Gave me good instruction. I tried to follow to a T. I did the best I could. But yeah, I can see why people come and try it out. It's definitely a fun experience. Got me thinking a little bit more about my conditioning. Like, well, maybe I can do this. If that was 3 minutes and I was already breaking a sweat, what would 15 minutes look like?
Sure.
I'd probably puke into the bucket. But
And a lot of that's just the anxiety, I think, of the initial, like, oh, okay, I actually have to do this, and it's, kind of intimidating kind of thing. So getting back to CarrierNet, I guess everything seems to be going really well there. What's your goal for that down the road?
for CarrierNet Group Financial,
Yeah.
is continue to be successful, continue to help those small business entrepreneurs really realize their dreams. People kind of forget the type of, I guess, lack of better words, balls it takes to run a business, to start one on your own. And we really prize ourselves on helping those guys see those dreams.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Families put a lot of sacrifice into doing that. And if I can help, or my office and company can help, just them realizing and visualizing and going through the first year, second year, third year of their dream and going off and being successful. And CarrierNet, that's our success, is watching small trucking companies sacrifice and build confidence. Much probably like in the fighting world. You come in, you don't know if you're going to be a fighter. Maybe you want to fight, and you take that step, and the training and the hard work and the coaching that goes into that. And now all of a sudden you're in a ring fighting, realizing, a dream. And whether you're successful or and not in the ring, you continue to fight. That's a lot like transportation. You fight every day to get your money. You fight every day against the people people driving on the roads hounding you a little bit. And transportation doesn't get an honest shake when it comes to the average trucker. If I were to ask anybody on the street what an average trucker, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I know, overweight. The only thing they can do is drive." And that's so far from the truth. Much like in the fighting world, you guys aren't just fighting because that's all you guys can do. You guys are much, much better at other things than just fighting. And that's something that we carry at CarrierNet Group. We believe in the little man, the underdog, and we really strive to get those guys successful.
I can see a ton of parallels, in the fighting world and the business world. When I first started off in business, I was like, oh, I'll crush it. We can do this easy. And I think that's most people going in with rose-colored glasses on, and same thing with MMA. Like the number of people that I get that come in and they're like, oh, I'll be in the UFC in 6 months. Just give me a little bit of this stuff, a little bit of that. I'll be in there. And that's at least 5 calls a month that I get like that. And and then all of a sudden they come in here and they're like, oh, just like I did in business too, where I was just like, oh man, this is not what I thought. This is way harder. This is, I don't just get to have, all these lunch business meetings that I get paid for and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I'm just sitting in Tahiti every weekend, but doesn't work out like that. But
you got to grind.
Big question.
Yeah.
Trucker movies. Got any good trucker movies? I mean, besides Over the Top. I mean, I feel like
that was going to be mine.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only trucker movie I know.
One on the list.
What was the one where it was like Emilio Estevez and the aliens took over the trucks for a while? God, I want to say Mad Max, but it's not Mad Max.
Not Mad Max.
Maximum Overdrive. I think.
There you go.
Maximum Overdrive.
Mine was be Smoking the Bandit. I grew up, I'm 41. My dad, he grew up in that kind of era, so he watched those movies. So I always grew up Smoking the Bandit and all that. Those movies. I'm not a big movie remembrance guy. I watch a movie and forget it. Yeah. But I've watched that movie every time I see it on TV. Whatever I'm doing, cleaning, helping the wife out, I stop. I stop anyway. But I watched that movie.
It almost made me get a Basset Hound.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah.
I got close. I got a puggle, but that's
not even close. But it's okay. It's okay. No, that was good movies, but
no. I always think Jack Barton, who is Kurt Russell's character in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's a great
movie. He's on the thing, and he's like, let me tell you what Jack Barton would do. You tell the wife I ain't coming home. Something along those lines. Yeah, but I always think of that.
That is a good movie. I forgot about that movie. I'm gonna go watch that one this weekend. Big Trouble in Little China, yeah.
All right, last thing. Big shout out apparently to O'Gorman there.
Oh no, my water bottle. I just carry it everywhere. I just carry it everywhere.
I was noticing earlier that you said like the mean streets of O'Gorman.
Yeah,
So
right. Now, I get the luxury of coaching goalies at O'Gorman.
Okay.
I get to do that, and so I got a water bottle from coaching there. And
Soccer or
soccer.
hockey? Okay.
The soccer. Yeah, they don't have a hockey squad that I'm aware of unless they have it in another league. But no, just goalkeepers, and it's been a passion of mine. I played it growing up, and like I said, I'm blessed to come back to the school I graduated from, and for the last 7 going on 8 years now, I coach the goalie squad out there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming in, hitting some
Thanks for having
pads,
me.
and obviously, thank you very much for the sponsorship. That
you're welcome.
is going to help out these guys a lot. And they,
Yeah.
The guys have been saying, it's been nice because they can concentrate a little bit more on training than having to put in so many hours at work and then do it that way. So
Well, I hope it produces good results for you guys.
I think
I'm
it
going to
will.
be there cheering, wearing the red shirts.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I guess we'll see you on next Friday night.
You will.
Awesome.
You will.
Thanks.
Thank you.